Hey everyone, this Draftbit office hours live stream. This is Nick with Draftbit. I'm the head of growth, coming to you from Chicago. And I'm joined today by Aman, Mittal, and Patrick Kilgore. You guys want to introduce yourselves real quick?
Sure, although I can't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Aman. I can't.
Yes.
My camera's off for some reason, so I don't know what that's going on. But I'll try to figure that out while Aman's talking.
Sounds
Sure.
good.
So, hello everyone. I'm Aman Mittal. I'm from New Delhi, and I'm the content guy at Draftbit.
Great. And since I can't seem to figure this out, I'm sorry. You'll have to bear with me for a second. I'm Patrick Kilgore. I'm one of the engineers at Draftbit, and yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So if this is your first live stream with us, just a reminder how we kind of do things. First, we'll talk about what's new at Draftbit, then we'll take some Q&A, and then we'll dive into some actual building or demoing or really just kind of whatever you all want to see. So we're broadcasting from a feed that's about 2 minutes ahead of whatever you're watching. So I encourage you all, please leave your questions, comments, chat with us, whatever streaming platform you're joining us on, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, Periscope. Please use the chat feature, send us questions, send us things that you want to see us do. Again, we're like 2 minutes ahead, so if I don't address your comment immediately, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's because I literally am waiting for it to come through the pipes. So yeah, and those questions can be, how do I do something in Draftbit? I have a question about what Draftbit can and can't do. Can you show me this feature in Draftbit? We're lucky enough to be joined today by two pretty technical guys. So if you have some, even more esoteric developer questions, we can probably get those answered for you as well. The stream is going to be a little bit different in that normally on Fridays, I'll show you a bunch of new features that Draftbit just released. A lot of the things that landed this week were sort of more behind the scenes things. Last week we showed you deleting and restoring screens, deleting and restoring components. We showed you new keyboard shortcuts. We showed you some cool new things that are happen with PWAs, which Patrick was actually the one that worked on these things. So PWAs are now more true PWAs, and we also have a really cool landing page that shows up when you open a PWA on your desktop, and a bunch of other things. So I'm not going to go over all those things again today because that's redundant, but please go to last week's live stream recording, which you can find in our Twitter feed, on YouTube, or on our Facebook feed. And you can see me walk through those things in that video. So again, if you all have questions for us, you want to see us build anything in Draftbit, please just drop those things into the chat and we will get to them. Today, what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to sort of tease something that Patrick and our VP of Engineering and co-founder Donald have been working on, which is a feature that you all don't yet have access to. But here's the teaser / spoiler. If you are interested in helping us beta test this feature, drop us a line either at help@draftbit.com, HELP@draftbit.com, and say, I want to be a beta tester for this feature I'm about to show you, or just send us a little message in the chat box in your Draftbit builder. And this feature, I don't want to steal all of Patrick's thunder, but this feature is basically a way for you to add custom code into your app. So right now, you have the ability to add custom functions at the screen level into your app that handle things like, like custom actions that happen when you click a button on the screen, but they don't do much more than that. And so what Patrick has been working on is a way that allows you to inject 2 additional things. Oh, there's Patrick.
I figured it out.
All right. So Patrick's been working on a way to allow you to inject custom components into your app, as well as a way for you to install packages in your app directory. And so previously you were not able to do things such as use the native camera with Draftbit. What are some other things that we didn't that you weren't really able to do?
Any of the big major things that come from the native side of the application. So yeah, the camera's a big one, I think. A second one that maybe we could actually play with today, which I actually am curious about, which would be location. A third one is maps. Yeah, it also, like what we're going to talk about today is it's very much the concept of an escape hatch, right? And if you do a lot of programming in other libraries, you find this a lot. We're a big React shop here, obviously, using React Native all the time, and we build our site in React Web. And one of the great things about React is if you need to stay in the React system, React works very well. But if you need to do something that React is making difficult, there are plenty of escape hatches in React. There's a lot of fun things that let you set HTML dangerously. There's a lot of fun things that let you break out of React's control of the website and manipulate it yourself directly. And those things are very powerful. They're also very dangerous. So you kind of have to take a lot more on your shoulders as a coder. But what it's great for is when React can't do the thing that you need it to do. And you can break free of the system. And so that's what our goal was when we built this feature was, well, there's some things that Draftbit can't do yet, but we wanted to give the people that can an opportunity to break out of the system and to work with each other to find ways to solve problems that we're definitely trying to solve with the product and with code and then make them a lot easier for you. But so you don't have to wait for us. You can go find some nice code snippets on the internet and get the pieces of your app you want working now, without having to eject and install code editors and install Expo CLI and go through that process.
Yeah, that's a great teaser. Much better than the one I could have done. Obviously, you know, breaking out of systems comes with a little risk. And so injecting code and not exactly sure how that code is supposed to work is a really great way to break your Draftbit app really quickly. So this is definitely a power user feature, and it's definitely something that we encourage folks who know what they're doing with code to utilize. And so again, if you want access, if you want to help us beta test that feature, just reach out to us, and we're collecting a short list of beta testers, hopefully to get this feature into the wild soon. So Patrick, I'm going to switch on this window that allows you to share your screen.
Great.
Sweet. Okay. And so tell us a little bit about what we're going to use this feature for today. And also, is it possible to make the window a little bit more?
Let me know what.
Even if you could probably magnify. Yeah. Can you stretch it a little bit?
Yeah. I have an ultra wide over here, so I can stretch it as much as you need it to be.
Nice. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah. There you go.
Move some windows around here.
Maybe more.
Yeah. All right. So what you're looking at is actually, is that too far or is that good? All right. So what you're looking at here is actually the end of a test that I was doing yesterday, which was working with the new, and I will be straightforward here. I would not Google this name in the future if you're watching this video a couple months in the past, because we will probably change the name of this feature. But for now, we've been calling it code components. Custom code components. You might hear me use those words a couple of times throughout the stream. And so what you're seeing here is actually a finished app, and I just kind of want to show you where we're going. So this kind of like the struggle of getting there is a little bit more clear. And a lot of this looks a lot of the same, right? I think the only thing you're actually seeing, and in fact, if I go back here, you're only seeing one new thing on this screen, which is a new type of component called custom code. You can add it just the same way you'd add any other coded component, just in the adder, just like anything else. And once we click on that, you're going to see kind of like the second new thing, which is, well, this doesn't have a lot of options available to it. You'll see that it actually has no choices in terms of styles or anything else, because we don't really control this experience, right? It's all in your hands. And so what we do allow you to do is to choose what Draftbit renders for that component by just typing raw text strings code in this sidebar here. So if you want to, we can check out the code, the code preview, and you'll see is down here we have what I had typed in that sidebar, and that can be anything, right? You know, it's a little bit of a fun side feature, but you could even do a little debugging for how some things work. And you know, the compiler here on the back end is not very restrictive at all. So you can essentially, whatever you type there, it'll end up in your app. And so, like Nick said earlier, it's very powerful, but it's also very dangerous because we at Draftbit can't really control what you type. It's tough for us to give you a nice experience. So definitely when you use this, you're opting out of some of those nicer guarantees we try to give you that your app will build, and you know, that the errors that we give you will make some modicum of sense. But like I said, also very powerful. So let's see if I can't revert that. I can't, but not a big deal for now. We'll just let that go empty. Yeah, so then the really third piece of major new UI you'll see in this feature is inside the custom code modal. So before, this custom code modal was actually a little bit simpler because there was no other options in here, so I don't think we showed you the sidebar. You would have just seen the custom functions. And we're not going to go over this today. Nick, I don't know if you've done this in the past, but we might either have some old videos about custom code or...
We don't actually have a ton of anything with custom functions, but Aman is writing a few guides. I think that we can do, Aman, you remind me, I think you can do things like request user permissions at the screen level. I think you can set up a custom function to use Expo share sheet. So if you hit a button, then it'll bring up the native share sheet, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And then I forget what the third thing is, but that's like the things I like you can do with.
Yeah, I like using them for as actions in buttons, for example. So one of the things we let you do is when you wire up a button, we give you the ability to run custom code in response to the button. But yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. But
well,
anyways,
so I'm going to write a few guides there. But what you're about to show off is not that. What you're about to show off is something that's undocumented and much more powerful.
Yes. So you won't see this unless you get in touch with Nick to become a beta tester, but because I'm involved. So what you'll see now is these two new options here in the custom code. And this is your portal to creating your own code components. And in addition to adding libraries that you'd like to use as part of that. So the simplest thing first here, I'm using a couple of new libraries, right? So you could previously use these in your custom functions, and because the way that custom functions and custom code work a little differently, you have to add them a little bit differently, and then we might iterate on that. But for now, if you wanted to use a new library in your custom code, you'd have to add the package here, and we'll take care of getting that and building that into your app. But you can see here I'm using the date functions, which is just a little bit way of displaying dates a little bit nicer and differences between dates a little bit nicer. And then a big one here, which is async storage. So async storage actually allows you to write things to users' apps permanently, which is something that you have been able to do in Draftbit, but it's been a little bit limited to this point. And so what you can do with the custom code is actually just tap into that and kind of unlock the full power of that if you have the technical ability, or you can find good code snippets to use in place of some of these components. But yeah, so we'll flip over to the little editor screen provide. So you can see here, this is not no code, right? So this is very, very powerful. You have the full access to whatever you need to write. We're going to do our best to give you some good snippets to use to unlock some of the lower hanging fruit as soon as we can and as soon as this releases. But for now, there's not much out there, but we can do anything, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And so what you can see here—
I was wondering we were going to slip that in.
Yeah.
I was wondering you were going to slip that in. Yeah.
I felt like I couldn't do it right off the bat, but so this is, so if you've not been familiar with the JavaScript file before, this is what a JavaScript file looks like under the hood. You might have noticed this kind of thing if you ever looked at the export code from Draftbit, or if you've looked in the code preview modal. And so some of this is just basically what we're saying here is we want to use these things, and then from here on out we start writing our code. So this is just a function. This is one of the ways of writing a function in JavaScript. This is another function. that is a component actually, and you can tell those because they have what's called JSX at the bottom. Essentially, this is how you show what to render. And a fun way of actually playing with this might be to actually build things in Draftbit via our layer tree and adding normal components and see what we generate for you, and then copying and pasting it into this file and kind of seeing how the different components that you add to your app get turned into different pieces of the app, and then can be remixed here however you want to use them. But the most important thing in this file for this demo is this one function here, which is called timer control. You got a little bit of a clue here. It starts with a capital letter and ends in some JSX. And so this is a component, and this is something that the Draftbit compiler will or not Draftbit compiler, but Expo and React Native will know how to turn into display for your app. And you can write it yourself and make it do pretty advanced things. So going back to the app itself here, this is how you connect the two. Again, great power, great responsibility. It's a pretty manual process, but through that you can probably use a lot of Modal. Probably use a lot of good code. So you'll see here the component's called timer control, and the it takes what's called a property, or a prop for short, called set value, and we'll get into kind of like the details of like how those things work or not later because it's a little bit low level. But to get it to show up in my app, I need to import it. So we just have a standard here where if it starts with code components, that's our trigger to know that we're going to use some code components in this app, to import them at the screen level and to actually access them. And I actually did forget what I called this since I was in there. I think I called it timer control. Yes. All right. So let's double check to see if that worked out. And you can see up here the everything. Essentially, what's happening is everything. What this means, basically import everything from the components file into this file and call it, namespace it is what the word is essentially, but you have to basically start all your references to it with the word code components like this. And then you would call the individual components in it by their name that we call them there. So it would be code components dot something. Here the component was called timer control, so code components dot timer control. It looks like that showed up all fine. I just wanted to make sure that the import was showing up, so I'm going to move on and I'm going to do add a prop, set value equal to, and I believe it's called set timer, set time. Okay. I just wanted to kind of get things back to the way we had started. So that's all showing up. One of the things, because we don't really know what you're importing, and because we let you use native modules here, like Nick was saying, camera and maps, those don't work on web, and so we can't show you a preview of what they look like. We'll try to clean this up and make it look a little bit nicer before we let this out for general purpose. But what you can do, however, is go preview things in Snack, which has a little bit more advanced functionality, and definitely what you can do, and we recommend doing if you're using any sort of native module. Yeah, see, this actually broke in the Snack preview, unfortunately, because we're using something that isn't supported on the web. But what you can do, and you can do this, and I recommend doing it, this is how I work in Draftbit if I can, is I always have Expo open on my phone, and I always scan the QR code so that I can see what the actual app experience will look like on a phone rather than the preview experience we have here. And I think what I can do now, I'm going to try to switch my screen to the iOS simulator installed on my computer. We can see what it looks like. Oops, that's the wrong. Uh-oh. Hey, Nick, can you...
Hey guys, if you can hear me, my audio went out, so I may need to leave this and come right back. So
we can hear you.
I apologize. I'm not sure what's happening. I can see that my microphone's working, but I can't hear anything, and I'm not sure why. So if you just stall for me, I guess, something else while I figure this out.
Sure.
Sorry.
I'll just keep going, unless hopefully it's not going to kick us out if you leave. All right. Well, while Nick sorts out his technical issues, I'm going to go share the iOS simulator. And I'm not sure. Aman, can you see the iOS simulator on your?
No.
No, unfortunately not. I think what happened was when Nick left, we lost our ability to do previews. So I'm going to take a look. I'm actually going to just look a little bit at some of the questions here because I see a couple of them come in.
Yeah.
And let me just read a little bit. Got it. Okay, so William had asked, somewhat unrelated to this, but somewhat similar, and I happen to know it since I worked on some of the PWA stuff, asked about breakpoints on the PWA wrapper. So when the PWA that you view on a browser changes to be with some decorations around it, and when it goes basically to taking over your whole screen and acting like a real app. We do not have a way to customize the breakpoints on the landing page. If you need to override them, I'm not sure honestly what kind of engineering effort that would take. If there's a bug, for example, if it's wrapping weirdly, please send us a screenshot of what's happening, and we'll sort that out or do our best to sort that out. But for now, I don't think you can change those breakpoints. So we'll definitely try to prevent any sort of weird. I don't want any sort of weird app states. So if you are able to make that wrapper look odd in any way, just let us know and shoot some feedback to either Nick or Angela via intercom, and we can sort that out. I see. So okay, some little bit more detail from William just about having access my app and get into it from the desktop straight away. So yeah, we can chat about that separately. I don't know what kind of additional engineering effort that would take. But honestly, this third thing, maybe disabling it and just going back to the stretched version is something that would be a little bit simpler to do. And so if you want to do that, like I would include that with your screenshots as a suggestion, but not something that we can do right now, unfortunately. Nick still isn't here, so let me see. Unfortunately, I'm going to play around a little bit with the LiveStream software and just double check that I can't somehow share my screen with it myself. I'm seeing some options here. Edit. No. You are sharing. Yeah, see, it's unfortunately I can see on my end that I am queued up to share my screen, but I don't think I can actually make the switch without Nick. So
I think
yeah.
Nick is the host, so he has the admin rights to manage how the stream goes. Well, I can talk about a new post which came out last Friday. Basically, I'm working on creating the BookBit app starter clone from scratch. And I published the first part, which includes quite in-depth details about how different panels, like properties panel and the left side panel, where you can add components, and using the property panel and the different tabs in it, you can customize your component. I'll share the link in that tab. It will take some time for Nick to come back.
Yeah, looks like Nick's still having some technical difficulties. So unfortunately, there's not a lot. This is a very preview-heavy thing here, but one of the things that I'm really looking forward to as part of this process, just to kind of preview where it's going, is we don't want to keep you in this writing code state for long. That's not our goal. Especially for now, because it is fragile and breaking. And even as an engineer, it took me a couple of hours to put together even this much, because a lot of the things that as an engineer I use to give me some safety and some guide rails, linters and formatters and compilers don't work through our system. You won't tell if something's broken until you save it.